And this is the mentality that people usually don't really appreciate their own cuisine. They don't see how they can elevate it and take it to another level. And they're, rather they're just like they're more willing to seek it somewhere else.
Of course, but also people also they're afraid you don't touch the recipes.
Yes.
You don't touch the traditions.
Yes. I think we disappointed the Balkan community.
Because
they were and they are not ready to see any changes, any innovation to what they know. I wish you could see me that day when I received news that we got a Michelin Bib Gourmand. I was not able to speak for a day.
Did they email or call you?
Oh, well, nothing actually. I got it to know from media.
No way.
Yes. Yes.
Welcome back to the Chef JKP Podcast. On the show this week, we have the one and only Stasha Toncev. I hope that's correct. Stasha Toncev, who is the founder and chief soul kitchen officer of the famed 21 Grams restaurant in Dubai. Stasha, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, James. Thank you for having me today, and thank you for the beautiful intro and the very correct intro as well.
Thank you.
I
was very nervous about that. So, before we get real deep into the show, first things first, tell me about the name exactly, 21 grams.
21 grams stands for the weight of human soul, and at the same time, 21 degrees is the longitude of the Balkan region. So I always thought that these two things are a really nice way to sum up who we are and what we do and what we are trying to do, which is the Balkan soul food and creating a Balkan soul place in Dubai.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have the weight of human soul and the details of the Balkan region in one name.
And was that difficult when you came up with the concept of the restaurant, or it just came naturally?
It was not difficult, I have to say. I've been Soul Kitchen Dubai on Instagram for a while, and at the same time, I always seen myself as a soul seeker, beauty seeker. I always try to find these nice little good things in life, and that's why I felt it's a good name for myself to be a Soul Kitchen officer. And then when the 21 grams was about to come and it was a time for us to figure out the name, I thought it would be nice to be a soul kitchen. But then I've seen that there is so many other restaurants in the world named Soul Kitchen, and I said okay, this is not probably the right thing. I don't want to be just another soul kitchen in the world. And trying to find a common ground between what we do and what is already there. And then having in mind that I always wanted to promote a Balkan cuisine and culture, I realized that a big thing about our cuisine is doing things with soul. So Balkan cuisine and culture does not have fancy ingredients. There is no caviar and foie gras and fancy cooking techniques.
None of that rubbish.
No, it's not a rubbish, but
yeah,
it's just a fact, right? Yet, so many people fall in love with our food. And whenever they travel to any of the countries in the Balkans, they fall in love with people and hospitality. So I thought, actually, what's the reason why people are falling in love with what we have and stand for? And I really believe is that when we do things well, it's because we do them with soul.
Brilliant.
And I always wanted to serve the comfort food, to serve the real honest food, and somehow in English it's called soul food.
Yeah.
So everything comes together.
I love the name. I love the whole meaning behind it.
Thank you.
So now I know.
And let me add that the postcode of my hometown is 021.
That's meant to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then, for me, I would like to know, what is your earliest childhood food memory?
Earliest childhood food memory. Well, I don't have a very precise food memory. Like my early childhood, talking like 3, 4, 5 years old. I just know that I grew up eating fruits and vegetables straight off the tree and ground. And I remember myself eating a lot of the grilled and cooked corns during the summer. That's one of the earliest food memories. But then probably the most relevant one is the one that I started cooking when I was 7 years old. And I started cooking when my parents were away, and at the time when I was not allowed to be around the kitchen and the equipment. But I thought that was a good thing to do while I'm just, killing some free time.
What does any 7-year-old do? Cook. That's exactly what I did.
Exactly.
Knives, heat, pans, brilliant.
And all the moms magazines around the house for me were not to look at the dresses and bags and whatnot. For me, we were like to see what are the recipes in these magazines. So yeah, I started cooking from the mom magazines, like all these recipes that are usually part of it. And I remember first dish I made was the omelet with pickles, but literally like first. Heating some pickles in the pan and then adding the eggs, which was not really nice. But that was one of the recipes in those magazines. But I didn't get discouraged. I kept going on and I started really doing this every single day, trying different recipes. And then at one point when I thought I got it right, which was just it was a sort of the tomato frittata, again, vegetables and eggs. I invited all the kids from my neighborhood to come and feast on what I prepared. I was so proud and I was so happy seeing them enjoying in something that I created and that I created just from pure passion and love. So that's and at that time, I had been doing that for a while until my parents found it out and they grounded me for a while and whatnot.
Okay, I was going to get to what the parents say.
Yeah.
However, that memory and that experience must have ingrained everything and then started something really big in your soul, literally.
100%. But funnily enough, I've been cooking and hosting since I'm 7 years old. Yet, throughout my life, I'm 41 now. So until 21 grams, which is when I was 34, 35, I never, ever thought that I belong into the food industry. I never pursued the career in food industry.
So hosting was a big part of your life from a very young age.
Exactly.
Even got you grounded, but it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then at which point did it start to get quite serious that you thought, I really, really enjoy doing this?
No, not really. Not really. Because, see, I always knew I'm enjoying it, but this is who I am. And I never actually took it as a special gift or a special talent or something that I should develop it more. It was just, and it is just who I am. But, being young, and obviously being guided by parents and their ambitions and whatnot, the idea of taking this talent further was never on the table.
Okay.
Even my parents, and I blame them a bit, like they had this little kid that was really good in the kitchen. By the age of 9, I was actually cooking properly and I was able to cook traditional Balkan recipes and Italian and come up with my own creations. But like, I never got that, maybe this kid should go and, be a chef or be, work in a restaurant. Absolutely never. It was more of, you're doing this well, good for you, good for us.
Wow.
Kind of thing. And then growing up and obviously me being more mature, I still didn't take 'this talent seriously.
Okay.
I think that's the, that's the key why I ended up studying economics and then from there working in marketing and events and like not still being in the food and beverage industry.
Okay, so then you have this. This is really interesting for me because then when we talk about the Balkan countries, you have the traditions of French hospitality, German hospitality, Italian hospitality, Spanish hospitality. Sometimes the British can be hospitable. They say it's a rumor. Can you tell me about Balkan hospitality? Because I have no idea, and I'm sorry to say, I wish I did. So I want to know what would you describe Balkan hospitality? How is it?
It's huge. It's generous. Is genuine. It's warm. I think these are the key words, but I think the genuinity of it is the key thing. Balkan people really go beyond to give that space and honor to every single person that come across as a guest. I recently heard that if it happens that you knock at the door in some of the Scandinavian countries, you knock at the door in the middle of night and the family is having dinner, you will be asked to come later on. Once the family finishes the dinner, you're more than welcome to come and do whatever you need to do. In Serbia, if it happens that we have this uninvited guest or someone just coming suddenly, you will be dragged in our house. You're going to be blackmailed to literally, you're going to be blackmailed to try every single thing that we are able to bring to the table at that particular moment. And this is, and obviously Balkan people, we're coming from this poor people culture, right? It's fast. It's really amazing that and it's still in us that we really go beyond to host everyone. I still remember my grandma, even my mom nowadays. They keep that special dinnerware only for guests and special glassware only for guests. As me growing up, we were never allowed to have the best part of the roast or the best part of the cake for ourselves. It's always for guests. That's the mentality. We keep and we do the best for guests, not for ourselves, not for the family. It's always from them. You want really them to feel good at your home. You really want them to come back. You really want them to go and say, I had a wonderful time being with that and that family.
Amazing.
And this is very, very true. Like every person that I know in my close circle, and not just close circle, my family and my friends, they really take enormous pride to host other people. Our family lunches are not ordinary family lunches. There is always feast on the table. And then if it happens that we have people invited for these lunches, dinners, occasions, we give everything we have, and sometimes even things we don't have, we still give it.
And that's true hospitality, actually.
And it is. And sometimes when I do trainings with my guys, I try to tell them how we do the dinners for the occasions, like a Christmas dinner, or we have these big Saint Days dinners back home, which are honestly many, many times go beyond our capacity, financial capacity, resource capacity, like name it, but we still do it. And this is one of the most important days in a year for many, many families, how they organize themselves to get everything they want to present to our guests. And these days are very special. We borrow the furniture and chairs and tables from our neighbors. We cook for days and nights. We think of every single dietary preference and seating preference. If this auntie is not talking to that auntie, and if that uncle is,
details, right?
It's actually,
huge.
Everything I did in my life for just this dinners with the family, prepare me for what I'm doing today.
Right.
Because I've been taking in consideration floor plans, with dietary requirements, having plenty of food, having a good food, having a food that people will be happy with, that, obviously for family is always important when you're hosting someone that they keep talking that it's good, that the next time when they're coming to you, they say, oh, I'm coming for the best sarma that I know now,
Wow.
And it has been engraved in me, like that you really care with so much pride when you're about to have people over.
So then, taking you from Serbia, when did you move to Dubai?
I moved here January 2010.
And so it wasn't hospitality that you were in?
It was, actually.
It was?
It was. I was a part of pre-opening team for Armani Hotel and later for the Atmosphere. And from there I moved to pre-opening of Hakkasan. So yes, at one point I ended up in hospitality and in high-end hospitality in Dubai without any previous experience in hospitality back home.
So let's just rewind. So first of all, you came to one of the highest, most prolific hotel and restaurants opening for Dubai at that time, which is massive.
And globally as well, because that was the opening of Burj Khalifa and Armani Hotel at the same time.
So that must have been huge for the entire team. Also a lot of pressure. And what was your particular role then for that role?
So see, I started as a senior hostess in a restaurant. And within a year and a half, I was promoted 4 times and I ended up in PR and marketing department at Armani Hotel. So I started as a senior hostess. From there, I got to set up the entire reservation office for Armani Hotel. So I became the reservation supervisor, and later on I became a manager for both Armani Hotel and the
An Atmosphere.
And it was not just a reservation office, but I was running and overlooking the all hostess teams of all restaurants. And then I took a cross training and ended up in PR and marketing. And from there, I went to Hakkasan as a head maitre d', which is basically head of the reservation and reception department.
And Hakkasan was where back then?
And Jumeirah Emirates Stars.
Jumeirah, okay.
Yes, this is...
Which was also super busy. And Hakkasan, a big opening.
Yes, 700 covers a day, at least.
Wow.
Yes. So my team at that time, which was... So reservation and reception was 20 people only. It's just my
reservations and reception.
20 people.
My goodness.
Huge. And if I remember correctly, the entire team of Hakkasan at that time was 150 people between floor and kitchen, and probably 10 to 15 people in office.
So then,
yes.
Now we're talking serious hospitality, 5-star luxury, tallest or highest restaurant in the world, openings, Armani, Burj Khalifa, Hakkasan. So now you've got some very serious experience behind you. So then, how was 21 Grams born? What did you do? How did that journey come about?
See, I always like to think and say that 21 Grams came to me. Just like simply and organically. But it didn't come easy. It came lightly because everything I've done in my life brought me to 21 grams. So 21 grams was not a part of the plan, never. It was, I could say, a part of a dream, but not like having a restaurant, Balkan restaurant in Dubai. I always wanted to promote Balkan cuisine and culture in Dubai, but not necessarily through having a restaurant. Right? But it was always there, and I've always been thinking how I can do that, how I can be that person that promotes Balkan values more here. And I had different ideas. Anyhow, so if you put it this way, so I am someone who's been cooking for forever, since I know for myself, and I was able to reach out to the stove, right, and oven. Then I got partially the hospitality experience. I have to say that I ran away from hospitality here in Dubai. I didn't enjoy working in hospitality here. And that was actually shame, because I can confidently say that I am one of these people that truly love hospitality. And it was a shame that person like that who loves hospitality and wants to stay in hospitality didn't find herself comfortable working in that environment. And I didn't, I have to say that. And then I decided to leave. And then since I left, I always was thinking what could be done differently so people like myself can actually enjoy being the part of hospitality industry.
And how long was that break?
It was, let's say, so I left hospitality 2013, 14. And then it's been like for a few years, because I started working on 21 grams in 2017. So 2 or 3 years. But, it was a process. I really wanted, whenever I go out, I would like look around and try to translate the things in my own language. In a sense, whatever I don't like, I just don't go like, oh, I don't like this. But I think like, what could I do differently? If it was me, what would I do? And I was talking about that. I was vocal. Like my husband knows all these stories. There was no dinner or lunch or a breakfast somewhere that I would not point out certain things. And, at one point, my husband was the person who pushed me to 21 grams. Because when I say 21 grams came to me, it really came to me in a sense that I was actually having my great job in events industry. I enjoyed it very much. I had an amazing life. I had a beautiful ratio between work and free time, which I don't have anymore. I was well paid. So all boxes tick. No, for me, no reason to change my job or change industry or do anything else that what I was doing at that time. But then one day, I got a call, and a person that I used to work before tells me this: Stasha, I know you've been working in hospitality, and I'm just now about to open a small boutique hotel on Jumeirah Beach Road, 21 rooms, and I'm looking for someone to manage and operate a tiny restaurant, 25 seats, mostly breakfast and lunch, very simple. Would you know someone? And I said, like, listen, I do not know anyone, but I'm really willing to ask around. Give me some time, and if I find out something, I'll get back to you. That night, I come home and having dinner with my husband, and I go home. Listen, I got this call. Do we know someone who would like take over a tiny restaurant? Just few, like 25 seats, super simple, casual. He looks at me. He was like, "You woman." I was like, "Me?" Well, no, like, no. He was like, yes, think about that. Just think about that. This is your chance to, first of all, do what you love and you always been loving, even you never wanted to admit that and acknowledge that as a special talent, but you have it and other people know you do. Second of all, you've been so vocal about hospitality industry and how things could be done differently. This is your chance. So this is your chance to be accountable for everything you've said before. And, it's like, go for it. And I was like, I'm really not sure how. I really didn't know how to start. And obviously he said, like, you have such a great deal for a Balkan cuisine, and you've been imagining this, kifla that we have being served as a croissant, and you always thought that serving Turkish coffee instead of espresso coffee could be a good idea, and you always knew how to, like.
So how did you feel when finally you realized, well, my husband is right? How did you feel? Were you excited or were you terrified?
No, it took me only one night. And he literally told me, sleep on it. Sleep on it. And obviously my biggest concern is like, where will I find money for this? I didn't have money to start a restaurant in Dubai on my own. And my main concern was not a concept, was not a way forward, was not the idea itself, was money thing. And once he gave me the confidence, he told me that if I get everything I've been telling to him into a tiny presentation, he told me like, you'll get investor just like this. And I believed him, and that was the case. So we had that dinner. We had that dinner and that conversation. The very next day, I said, I'm gonna start working on the presentation. It took me probably a week, not longer than that. And from that point, I think it took me not more than a month to find a partner who was willing to invest in 21 grams. So it was really like super
very
quick.
fast.
And exactly. And that part came really, it came just so suddenly and so fast. And usually not the case from other business owners, because everyone struggles with first investment part and then finding a location.
Yeah.
And these both things came to me rather than I was really like going and looking for
like
it.
magic, but really that's not
Yeah.
a joke. That formula is so rare.
Yes. So in that sense, I was sort of lucky. I didn't want to say lucky because, again, that was something that came as a cherry on the top based on of everything I've been doing previously. But if you take it that it really came super quickly and that many other people are struggling with that, then yes, I guess I had some luck in that equation. And that gave me sort of credits to, come up with other things that are not that easy. So we came with an unknown cuisine to this market, with a Balkan cuisine.
Which nobody knew at the time.
Nobody, really nobody. At the time when we opened the 21 grams, people would come to us because they heard we are a good place, and they still would ask, what's the Balkans?
Okay.
For them, it could be anything like fruits or vegetables or anything in between. I never heard of the Balkans.
So then let me bring you back. Once investor was done and you have this location, then you had to have a team. So then how did you find the chef? Because you knew the specific type of cuisine, and the specific type of chef tied to that cuisine is not necessarily easy to find. So
and it was not.
And how was that journey for you?
I went to Serbia.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So the first team of 21 grams, especially the kitchen team, was all made from people that came from Serbia to work in 21 grams, including the head chef and sous chef and baker, which was very important. And all the crew at that time was from Serbia. I went over I think 6 months from, let's say, February to June, almost every month to Serbia for a week. And I was looking for people.
Was it extremely difficult to sell Dubai?
It was not, but it was not easy. I mean, it was not easy selling the modern Balkan cuisine. That was actually very difficult.
Okay, so there we go.
Yeah.
So it's somebody who had the vision to turn kind of like the mother recipes, if you like, into something modern.
Exactly. It's similar to many other cultures. Balkan people don't take much pride in our cuisine, in a sense that in cuisine, not the food, but and chefs in general are not very excited to do Balkan cuisine. Chefs are still more excited to do Italian and French. And just yesterday, I spoke to someone from Lebanon who told me that he has a great passion to open a restaurant. And I said, "Oh, super cute! Like you, so we're thinking for me, like you're thinking Lebanese food." He goes like, "No, of course not. I'm thinking Italian." And this is the mentality that people usually don't really appreciate their own cuisine. They don't see how they can elevate it and take it to another level, and they're, rather they're just like they're more willing to seek it somewhere else.
Of course, but also people also they're afraid you don't touch the recipes.
Yes.
You don't touch the traditions.
Yes.
Come on.
But the thing is, Balkan cuisine appears very simple, especially because it's mostly, we know it as home cooking and one pot dishes and stuff like that. And I do understand many chefs, especially young chefs, they don't see how it can be done differently.
Okay.
And that some time, sometime in future, it could be what is the French cuisine now or Italian cuisine, because all of these cuisines, they started as a...
Of course.
So, that going back, that was one thing, finding a chef that at one hand knows very well the traditional Balkan cuisine, but then that has vision where we can take it was...
And it took you 6 months?
It took me 6 months.
So,
yes.
So extensive search.
It was.
Really? Must have been.
And and it's not a joke when you say, like, you think it was easy to sell Dubai to people, but it wasn't. So our first head chef was Chef Uroš, and you know him very well. But before Uroš, I had 2 contracts signed with other 2 chefs who literally canceled the agreement a day before they're supposed to travel.
No
I swear.
way.
They got scared.
No
They got
way.
scared because, it's not just getting a job. It's changing your life. You're moving to a new country, to a country you've never been before.
Yeah, but jeez.
Yes. So
For you, it must have just been like, okay,
it
once,
was.
okay, fine.
Yeah.
Second time?
yeah.
So third time,
first,
lucky.
I remember very well. First chef supposed to come on 1st of May, and he canceled 2 or 3 days before. And then second chef supposed to come sometime in June then, and then he canceled as well. And Uroš came, I believe, sometime mid of July. So that was the process. Like, I had chefs that confirmed and then canceled at the same time. And, people think it would be easy to bring someone from Serbia to Dubai, that people would be excited to come. Yes, they are, but they're scared as well.
No, fair enough. I mean, I understand. But it's a big life change. But also, as you said, to have somebody who has the vision, to have the mother recipes or the traditional recipes to then turn into something modern, not easy. And you have to be sort of quite, passionate and full on and believe in what you do, right? So then you have your team.
Yes.
You're open. The beautiful space that... So for anyone who didn't know the first space, it was a tiny little space on the corner of the road, just by the beach, actually.
Yes.
A
space of 50 square meters.
Beautiful space.
Beautiful corner.
Really gorgeous corner.
Thank you.
So you open. How was the first reaction to Emiratis, to locals? They're coming in. They don't know what Balkan food is. Beautiful little place, but then they're served these foods that they really didn't know or understand. How was that for you?
Well, let me try to recall it. So now it's been six years. But what I do remember very well is that, maybe people didn't understand the foods. No, they didn't understand the names in our menu. Let me put it that way. But they understood a language of hospitality and a good service and a good food. And that's universal thing. And on the top is, what I always believed, it proved I was right, is that Balkan cuisine, it has that big part of things that are familiar to other people. See, Balkan cuisine is a mix of 3 great cuisines, which is the Ottoman or Oriental cuisine, then the Mediterranean cuisine, and the Central European cuisine. And it's a mix of these 3 cuisines that most of people are familiar with. And then you just add a bit of touches from our local cuisines and just like local culture. But overall, it's not unfamiliar to people. It's not as exotic as it might sound because of our language. And then if you add your personal touch to it, you add that element of surprise, of personality, of a story that gives the additional value to something that is familiar and which people are looking when they are, going out and where they want to get something a bit more special than what they can get at home. So, going back, people were probably they were put off by the fact that they didn't know much. But we were lucky enough that people came open-minded and people came willing to learn. And this is a great thing about Dubai. This is what I love about Dubai, because we have a lot of people here that are open-minded and that they're willing to explore, to discover something new.
Because on the sign, I remember driving past several times, at 21 grams, Urban Balkan Bistro. So I was like, what Urban Balkan Bistro?
What was that?
And me as a chef, I was like, wow, I've never heard of it. Yeah.
But that came to our advantage, because coming up with the Balkan, many people said, oh, this is going to put off people because they don't know much about it. But actually, it worked to our advantage, because Dubai people wanted to discover what is it behind that. And that helped us a lot. Yes. But I have to agree, people came and they, the expectations were not probably where we needed them at that time. Many people would come. We didn't, just that one thing. Talking about Balkan community. I think we disappointed the Balkan community.
Because
they were and they are not ready to see any changes, any innovation to what they know. Simple and plain as that. And for us, it was a lesson to accept it.
And so the community, the Balkan community, I'm not talking about the foodie community, the Balkan community, were they very
protective?
They were protective, and did they literally come to you and say, what are you doing? This isn't right. How can you be doing this to our cuisine?
Exactly.
Exactly. Really?
Exactly. 90% of Balkan community that came at the beginning were exactly like, oh my God, this is not Balkan cuisine. What are you doing?
But it wasn't meant to be Balkan cuisine.
It was always meant to be a modern Balkan cuisine. And it was always meant to be our daring take on Balkan cuisine. And luckily I was there to defend, what we were about to do and what was our vision and what is still our vision. To explain to people that this is the most honest approach that someone could have. Because I'm not my mother. I'm not your mother. I'm not anyone's mother. I'm not my grandmother. And I'm not surely that person who lived 300 years ago. I'm Stasha Toncev that lives in 21st century. I'm very much a Balkan human being, someone who comes from the Balkans. You can't take it from me. And what I do today, it is very much a modern Balkan approach. You may like it or not, but this is what it is. And it comes to that, and team that is doing that and believes in the same vision, you can't take that away from us. Because they tried, it was very hurtful that people...
I was going to ask you, how did that make you feel? Not hospitality people or locals or whatever, but people from your region. How did it make you feel?
It hurts. It really hurts, because you feel that people don't understand you.
And they're from the same country.
And we're from the same country, and probably someone's that, they're the people that you expect their support the most.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? And then we didn't get it. We really didn't get it. Besides some people, there were some great people, and they're still supporting us. But generally speaking, no, we didn't get that support. They were, and I didn't want to say anything, but I think they were not ready for us.
Right.
They were not ready to be hit with something that is so simple, so honest, yet so good.
Mm.
So yeah,
Okay.
that's one of the stories. That's one of the memories that I can pick up from 6 years ago. But on the other hand, we got the most wonderful support and love and understanding from everyone else. Everyone else really fell in love and they understood what we are trying to say. And we were always very transparent. We never said, oh, you're gonna get a super traditional or super authentic Balkan experience. You won't, because you can't. You really can't. You can't take a piece of the Balkans and recreate it in Dubai.
Of course.
No. And I don't want to stand in front of that idea because I can't. Certain things, certain ways, they belong and they can be only in Balkans.
Of course.
And Dubai, if nothing else, Dubai deserves different approach than Serbia has been having since ever.
So look, you open in 2018, correct?
Yes, January 2018.
Okay, January. So then we had 2018, 2019, and then 2020, which I don't want to talk about. I want to talk
Why
about.
not?
I want to talk about the 2 years, 2018 to 2019, because all of a sudden, at that particular time, it was when restaurants in Dubai were monsters. They were big, 100, 200 covers, Hakkasan, 700 covers, right? And you were a 25-seater restaurant, 25 tiny.
In Jumeirah.
In Jumeirah.
On premium location, right?
In a premium location, but you were making a big sound. And what I mean by that is that everyone, I'm talking about chefs and hospitality people specifically, were saying, oh, then you were hearing this name, 21 grams, 21 grams, and you were hearing it and hearing it. And then you got voted best coffee.
Yes,
right?
by Financial Times.
By the Financial Times. So that was big.
Big.
That was really big. So then I was like, okay. I said to my wife, I was like, there's this place called 21 Grams Balkan. I was like, I think we should just go and check it out. And I remember, I think we went on a Saturday or a Sunday was the first time I ever went. And Martin from Gemini was telling me also, you got to check this place out. It's really cool. So I had no expectations at all. Zero expectations. And we went in and there was a queue, first of all. So I waited for like half an hour. And it was nice because straight away we got served coffee in the little dining thing. And then we came out and I was like, oh, this is a really small space. I was like, where's the kitchen? It's really small. And then we had a really beautiful little table right in the corner on the window.
Oh, yeah.
So I was watching everything and I was like, man, this is, like, I had no idea. So then I said to my wife, I was like, I don't know what to order because I don't know anything. And she's Russian. So she was like, okay, let me have a look. And she worked in Turkey. So she knew a bit. And she was like, I said, look, just order what you think we're going to order. And I was still like, yeah, whatever. I'm like, okay, it's cool. And it wasn't until I tasted the food that my mind exploded.
Wow.
Because what hit me hard was that the food looked so simple, and yet it was so technical. I was just, and that was it. That was it. We became literally instant fans of the place, and not only because of the food, but the hospitality and the service was fantastic. And unfortunately, to everyone listening in Dubai, one of the things that we must work on is the service. Food, I think we're getting there.
Yes.
But service-wise, so
I agree.
So I have to say again, congratulations to you and the whole team.
Thank you.
There.
Yes.
And it was just so wonderful to see such a small concept be celebrated in such a big way. When did you know yourself that at which point in that venue did you think to yourself, oh my God, I've really done something here. I've created something?
I think every busy day was that moment where I felt like, okay, this is that moment. Like seeing people coming through that doors, because that was the greatest fear I had. Like, oh, that idea that I had was, good in my mind. It was good in a paper. Many people said, oh, it is a good idea. Many people said it's not a good idea. But yeah, there were some people said it was a good idea. So everything we done prior to the opening was just in paper. It was a presentation only. And my greatest fear was like, okay, we're going to open it. We're going to create this beautiful menu. We're going to put the signage. And then what? We're going to send a press release. We're going to invite people, whatnot. But will people really come? Will they really want to come and try the Balkan cuisine? I didn't know that. And just, let's not forget that I didn't come from hospitality. I was really no one. Stasha Toncev 2017, 2018 was not on the hospitality map in this city. And I didn't know chefs and restaurateurs or anyone from the industry. I didn't know media. No. And then my team were just like freshly imported from Serbia. So no celebrity owner, no celebrity chef, not just celebrity, not well known, nothing. But cuisine, completely unknown. So what was our forte? Thinking now, I really don't know. Open in a boutique hotel with 21 rooms in a newly opened hotel. So not even a footfall. Just that signage on the street that's supposed to did the job of inviting people to come over. So can you imagine like the first weekend and the first days when we saw people coming in, how that felt for us?
Huge.
Like, huge, really huge. And, someone could say that it's easy to make a place of 25 seats packed, but it's not.
No.
Because there were days that place was empty. There were like, even now, like you always have these hours in a day that, people don't come. And it's a very sad thing, and it always bring back that same fear. Oh, will people come? So honestly, the sense of accomplishment and achievement didn't, and we start getting the awards very early, as you said. Financial Times was 2019. Watson, the restaurant of the year we got was 2019, I believe. So everything happened within the first 2 years. And that is, it is a recognition, it's rewarding, but honestly, when I stood in that room and when I saw things flowing as I imagined them to be, when I saw my team being happy, doing what they do, seeing people enjoying in what we do, and then talking and coming back. And, like what is beautiful thing about 21 grams, the other day someone asked me, like, what do you do for a living? So I usually hate saying, oh, I have a restaurant or whatever, I'm in hospitality. So I said, like, what I do is making strangers into friends. This is what I do. This is my job. To when I see the face at my doors, to make sure they have a great time at this place and that they come back. And next time when they come back, that we hug each other. So, and then standing at that little 21 grams in the room of 50 square meters when it gets busy and when you see things flowing and everything is good and bad at the same time. Like there is so many issues, but there is still that energy. That's it. This is that moment when you're sure that you would do whatever it takes for this to happen again.
So that happened. Awards came. Did the Balkan community, who were negative towards you in the beginning, did they come back and say, sorry, Stasha, we were wrong? Or do they celebrate you more now? Do they understand what 21 grams is?
Not really, I believe so.
Wow.
There are still some people, and there is definitely more people than it was in the beginning. But if we just look that into the context of our entire community, the Balkan community is still probably
Okay, it's just interesting.
the smallest part.
Because the foodies and the hospitality people They love the place and what you do,
Yes,
and celebrate it.
And everyone else, including the Emiratis and the expats and everyone else in between. There is another thing. It's not that just simply that Balkan community don't understand us. It's that fact that majority of Balkan community in Dubai, especially nowadays, are at entry-level positions. So they can't really afford what we have to offer.
Okay.
That's another factor to take in consideration.
Sure.
But generally speaking, we have a great support from the Balkan people from the Balkans and the Balkan people in the hospitality back home, because they understand what we do and how hard it is.
That must be quite a proud thing to
and
also...
it is. But from ordinary people, they probably see us as more brave than we should be.
Fair enough.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
So then you have this beautiful space, which is 50 square meters, 25 seats.
Mm-hmm.
What made you decide to go into a much bigger site and operation? Because that's quite a big deal, quite a serious decision.
It was simple, a need, a necessity. So I know
you were that busy.
Yes.
That you needed to do it.
Exactly. I know you just said you didn't want to talk about the COVID, but there is this very important thing that happened to us in that year is that, so COVID happened January, February 2020, and that was the beginning for the strongest year and January was the best month in our books by that time.
January 2020.
2020,
yeah.
Yes. Far the best. Anyhow, February 2020, we got a COVID, everything starts going down the hill and ended up us closing on the 1st of May. So we closed 21 grams and we said, we are temporarily closing to see what's going to happen.
1st of March.
1st of May.
May, right.
1st
Okay.
1st of May. And really because when we reopened in August, so 3 months later, it was the end of July, people thought that we just did a PR stunt. Trust me, yes. Many people ask me
expensive PR stunt.
Yes, was this a PR stunt? Because we gained so much response at that time with the reopening that people thought it was a PR. But the time we were closing, I promised people, I said I thought we are closing for good. I really thought we are closing for good. And I was preparing myself to close my beloved business for good, while at the same time working to do everything that's possible for me to keep it going on. But at the same time, I had to prepare myself mentally, financially, and emotionally to close for good, because at that time, no one knew what's going to happen next. Moving forward, we still reopen end of July, and from there, every weekend we had at least 75 people on the waiting list. 75 people.
Hold on.
That we couldn't seat at that day.
Every weekend.
Yes, every weekend, and that's per day. So we're talking 150 to 200 people on the waiting list over the weekend.
Wow.
And if that was not a clear sign that we need bigger space, and then I don't know. Not to mention that maybe people saw us just as a small place, and luckily they saw us as a cozy place. But we were tiny for us, as a working environment was really super tiny. We didn't have proper office or proper storage. The kitchen was super tiny. The past table was super tiny. So I know our seating capacity was somehow in proportion with that, but still just too small.
Yeah.
And we really needed more space. First of all, for us, for the team, so we have a space to grow and to do more. And then obviously we need a bigger seating.
So then you opened, and how many seats is the new space?
New one is almost 80 between indoor and outdoor, and the private dining room that we got. Yes, so it's 3 times bigger than it used to be.
So then 5 years on from the time that you thought about this, being asked to open.
Exactly.
Then you get recognized in top 50 best discovery.
Mm-hmm.
You're now in Go Milo.
Mm-hmm.
And then this year, you had the shock announcement
Yes.
from Michelin
Yes.
that you received a
The
Bib Gourmand,
Michelin.
the Michelin guide. How was that? How did you feel about it?
State of shock. I think that is the right way to describe. Trust me, I wish you could see me that day when I received news that we got a Michelin Bib Gourmand. I was not able to speak for a day.
Did they email or call you?
Oh, well, nothing actually. I got it to know from media.
No way.
Yes. Yes. And
So what? You were just reading. Oh, this is good.
no, not really. You know how I actually found it out? So one of the editors, I don't know if I should mention her name, literally sent me an email. The subject was congratulations. The text in the email was any comments? Question mark. No. Any comments on the Bib Gourmand Award? Question mark. No signature. Nothing. And I was like, okay, what is this? Congratulations. And then any comments on receiving this? Question mark. What? Just check the email. It looked correct, but still I was like, okay, this is spam. This is something wrong. Where is the signature? What's happening?
Right.
Luckily, I know the person. I just sent a voice message. I was like, okay, what's happening? Is this your email? And why I'm the last person to find out? And she goes like, Stasha, the news is out. Check Instagram. And then I realized that all media shared the news, but the Michelin didn't share with us. So what they did, they sent the press release, media shared the news, and all the Bib Gourmands awardees found it out from news and social media. Yes,
Huge.
this huge. Which is, it has its sweet parts, like you're finding about yourself.
Imagine not knowing that.
No, we have not.
Wow.
At all. So that day, I was really in state of shock. I was not either happy or sad or excited or whatever. I felt like, I don't want to say that I didn't feel, that I did feel nothing. It was just like, I didn't know what to feel. Like, what was the right feeling to feel at that moment? Was it joy, pride, happiness, or a burden of responsibility, or what's next? What does it mean? What does it mean for us now? What does it mean for us in future? Like, shall we think like, all of the journey in a way we come so far, or it's like so much of the mixed feelings. And honestly, now it's been like, 3 weeks? And I think that all the emotions are still to sink in. I still didn't streamline it, like, what should I feel? Because it really goes from, oh my God, what we did, what we just got, the Michelin, guys. When we were starting so small, Michelin was not even here. So it was not even a part of a dream. Not to mention that I would never allow myself to dream that big with the concept and the vision I had. Because, see, in full honesty, the vision for 21 grams was always serving good food, not great, exceptional food that will change your life. And if you try it, like, it's going to be that experience that you're going to talk for a days. No. It was the idea of doing a really good comfort food that will feed your soul. So that and then on the top that we're going to make some connection, so we have other stories to share, and that we're going to create the community that is around the good food. But it's not the good food only, or not great food. I would never give myself credit for creating a concept, but it turns out to be a great food for so many reasons, because it was never pretentious. It was just right, and it just said, presentation was there, technically was there, story was there, and somehow we did create great food. But was that part of the plan? It was not. I mean, you want to create great food, but there is so much of what is seen as great food over there, and it's mostly it belongs to the fine dining and high-end dining rather to the casual restaurants. Yeah. And especially here in Dubai. And then one day you receive the Michelin recognition, which is the Bib Gourmand, and it stands for this great food at great prices.
Exactly. It's a really big achievement. Really.
It is.
Considering where you come from to where you are now.
Yeah, and especially because the way we had, the approach we had was very unusual for Dubai. You know, affordability was not a value at Dubai, especially not when you're opening in Jumeirah. I'm not saying that as a premium location of the community, but about
expectations
rent.
are.
And rent and then expectations,
Yes.
what people do expect from you when you're in that location. So creating a food that will make people happy and that people will find worth of their money and time, because we're destination dining, so people have to come to us. They have to plan it, to commute, to come to our place. So time is a very significant factor, at least for me, when I'm thinking of experience for our guests. So creating the experience that is worth of their money and their time as a part of the vision, and now recognized by Michelin, is
incredible.
It is.
So
it
well
really
done
is.
to you and the entire team.
Thank
really.
you.
So then the business, I'm sure, has expanded, as in got busier and busier and busier. And since that, I'm sure it's just exploded. Really. So then what is the future for 21 grams? Do you want to just stay in one location, or have you been approached, or would you like to go to other destinations, or would you like to stay in one place? Because you have that beautiful essence, time out you were in time out Dubai market, which is incredible.
Mm-hmm. And Al Sarkal now
And
as
Al
well.
Sarkal.
Yes.
So,
But see, in both these locations, other than the flagship location, we have different concepts. And that's for the very reason that I think that 21 grams that we created can't be duplicated.
okay.
Can't really go other places unless changing or giving it a different shape or form or a tweak here and there. So just at the same that's one of my thoughts.
Yes.
We do have some plans to franchise, but more of the hybrid franchise model where we will be able to adjust 21 grams to a specific market.
Okay.
But again, that's never been part of the plan for the future. And when you ask me about the future, I know one thing. I don't know many things, but there is one thing for sure. I want this 21 grams, the 21 grams that is currently at Mayan Mall, to be a good restaurant for a long time. That is the main vision. Being good.
Being busy.
Being busy for a long time. I want us to stay here. For me, that will be, that will be the top of the month, and that in 40 years, we can still talk about 21 grams. Whether is that on a single location or 5 locations all around the world. So in the meantime, I want us to stay open to all new opportunities, to all opportunities that will give us a chance to reach out to our audience at different places, in the sense that, sometimes I feel it's good that we go closer to our audience. So at Time Out Market, Al Sarkal is the same people that come to 21 grams. With these concepts, we are somehow just coming closer and more convenient to them, rather than always just expecting them to come to us, to Jumeirah. And at the same time, with these locations, we are reaching out to new audience, right? So I want to keep ourselves open to these kind of opportunities, to different models, but not as a part of the growth plan. That's not what I have in mind. The growth for me means, I don't know if this is the right thing to say, but probably I just want to see us strong and good and to be there. That's already success. And you can't stay and be in the game if you're not growing.
Correct.
So there is already a growth. Maybe it's not tangible. Maybe it's not seen in a traditional way that, nowadays the growth always means like how many locations you have. And did you expand to Saudi or, somewhere else? But people forget there is a growth happening that you don't see, that is beyond opening a new branches and new locations. There is a constant growth. There is team growing. There is operations growing. There is so many other things growing within one location that maybe they go unnoticed. And that's probably shame. See, 21 grams, it's not just that we are now on 3 locations with the 3 different concepts and 3 different menus. Right? We introduced the catering and event services. We came from team of 10 to team of 35 people. That's the growth. It is a growth, and it's not just about how many places you have. And I don't want to stay close to the ideas of being at other locations, but is this what we are doing this? No.
So then, what I also want to understand, because we have a lot of chefs listening to this, lots of new talent coming through, lots of front of house talents coming through. What would you say has been, or your biggest piece of advice? So number 1, biggest piece of advice when coming up with a concept. Number 2, what's the biggest challenge that people normally wouldn't think about when opening a restaurant?
I think, and again, I've been always told that
from your experience.
From my experience and from my always forever romantic approach to everything in life, I would say that whether you're coming up with a concept or you need to build a team or whatever, you need to make sure to remain true to yourself, because this is the only thing that will give you consistency in what you do, which is very important, and that will help you do things effortlessly.
Love that.
And that's for me, I think that was the secret ingredient to success, because I never made compromises with things that I truly believe in.
Okay.
And if people are able to be honest to themselves, that's number 1. Why you're seeking to open a restaurant, to work in a restaurant, whether it's in the kitchen or on the floor, that's a good start. And then if you're able to define the values that are important to you and that you reflect them to the job you do or business you want to own and run, that's super important. And people would tell you like, oh, having this vision, mission, goals thing, values important. It is, but not because it's something on the paper and you have to present that tomorrow to investors, or it's really something that you need to live by. Otherwise, this world, this place, the hospitality industry is becoming a big nightmare for you or anyone else, or anyone entering. So that needs to be very real, and you really need to be very honest to yourself. Why are you doing this?
Incredible advice. Really incredible advice.
Maybe, I feel sometimes people probably would expect different sort of advice that is more pragmatic or practical even. But as someone said the other day, and I love that word, is figure-outable. The word figure-outable. So all of these other things, they're easy to figure out. I mean,
the rest will come along, of course. But this is important. Being true to yourself is true.
True to yourself, because integrity, your own integrity, will become the integrity of your business. And once your business has integrity and start being respected and seen like that, things are much, much, much easier. That means you were able to build the trust, that people trust you, that they're willing to come to you, that they're willing to spend their time and their money with you. that's the game we are playing. We are not playing the game of serving food or coming up with the best recipe or having extraordinary service. Yeah, a bit of everything here and there, but it's really building relationship. It's really about getting people to trust you, and once they trust you,
the rest will figure itself out. So then, now, Stasha, you know that you're on a foodie chef's podcast.
No pressure.
No pressure. So this is what we call the quick fire round. So quick fire questions.
Oh.
All right. So quick fire, no pressure.
I didn't sign up for that.
It's okay. Number one, first question. And you don't need to name names. I want to be very clear.
Okay.
Now, I want you to tell me from your memory bank the funniest or the weirdest ever restaurant experience that you've had or that you've seen.
Oh my God, funniest or... I have a goldfish memory. Why are you asking these questions?
Or experienced.
Wait. This is a difficult question for me.
You want me to come back to it?
Maybe.
Okay, no problem.
Yes, give me some
Next
time.
one. Top 3 culinary heroes.
Top 3 culinary heroes. Well, I love what Neha does at Quinoa, right? And I'll focus on my local heroes. I prefer that way.
Done.
Okay. I love what Neha does. I love how she started and where her journey took her now, and with how much
taking her.
And it's taking her as well. I really respect her for everything she does and stands for. Orfali, Mohammed Orfali, and Orfali brothers in general. And again, it's a romantic approach because they're dear friends, but we all know that they're doing great things.
Incredible.
So, and I really love what they do with Middle Eastern cuisine and how they do it, which is even more important for me. And the third, oh my God, and you know that this is tricky because it's so quick, and if I miss someone and I'm gonna regret it and it's gonna haunt me. Third one, the sound that comes. Oh, Jesse Blake. My God, his cooking, his talent is just incredible. So from the Loaf, where I tried his food first time, till his supper club that he's doing now, I really, really, really love what he does. So yeah, I mean, culinary heroes. This is like
it's a toughie for everyone who comes here.
You know, like
it's a tough one.
And see, I approach this from different aspects.
But it's personal. It's about...
It is personal, but let me just go a bit deeper to that. So Neha, for her journey as a business owner and a chef. Orfali for what he does with the food, with the specifically Middle Eastern cuisine and how he does it. So he really like being a proper chef and a business owner at the same time. And then Jesse for really his culinary magic. So
love that. Okay. Meal of a lifetime. The meal that changed your life.
First of all, I do not believe in meals that change anyone's life. Is there a meal in your life that changed your life?
I think it was probably the first or Michelin altogether. I think it was Michelin, and the meal that changed my life, fish and chips. No joke. Because I came from Venezuela.
Okay.
My dad is British, my mum is Venezuelan, so the first meal that we ever had in the UK was fish and chips. Never had it before, and it blew my mind. I was a kid.
For me, let me just think about that for a second.
So some people say a fine dining meal. Some people say it was one of the meals that their granny would cook for them. It was an experience on top of a mountain. It could be something which is memorable for you.
Okay, if you put it like something that is very memorable to me, then it's different story. You know what? It's actually something that changed my life is my mom's spaghetti bolognese.
There we go.
Because of that dish and how she did it, I actually started cooking and trying to exploring because I love that dish so much. This is what got me hooked up on food.
Boom.
And enjoying the food more than just feeding.
Amazing.
And yes. And she had a very specific way that probably any Italian would be very upset.
Two more questions. I'm going to go back to your restaurant experience.
Okay, sure.
All right. But before we go back to the funniest or weirdest restaurant experience, if you could go back in time, what would you say to 16-year-old Stasha?
My God, these are really deep questions, man. Not ready. You know what? I would tell her to relax. I would tell her to relax more and to enjoy the process more. This is what's...
Perfect.
Yep.
Funniest and weirdest restaurant experience.
Again, oh my God, I'm trying to feel... So
Let me give you an example
please,
that I always use. So, you know Sarah Headley-Heimers?
Mm-hmm.
When she was on the podcast, I asked her what was your weirdest restaurant experience, and she said she went to a restaurant in South Korea, and the theme of the restaurant was poo. Poo plates, poo cups, poo everything. Everything was served on a toilet. That's weird.
It is.
So that's an example.
I haven't had anything similar to that for sure. But give me more examples, please.
It could be, for example, a really bad or you saw bad service or something.
Okay.
Or you had a bad experience happen to you.
No, I want to talk about something funny and something nice and something different rather than bad service or bad food. I think that shouldn't be in our topic. But what would I share? My God, I just simply can't remember now. I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't know. I can't remember anything.
It means you've had all amazing experiences.
No, it's not. But the thing is, I'm trying to recall that exceptional but funny. And see, I'm putting a bit of challenge to myself, and
that's okay.
That's me. This is what I usually do. I overthink. There is surely so many experiences. I don't know why, but you know what's coming to my mind, even it's not a single dining experience, is about my trip to Argentina. So I went to my honeymoon for 3 weeks of trip to Argentina, and in my mind it was like I'm gonna be eating steaks every single day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then I went there and I got to know that in Argentina, they don't serve steaks medium or rare. And I usually like my steaks rare to medium. And there is no that option. It took me almost 3 weeks to find a place where you can go to a restaurant, to a trattoria or what, to go and ask for a medium steak. And that was like, honestly, a lesson and a discovery and something that I didn't expect. But obviously not funny and not something that changed my mind. It's something that I learned from.
Interesting. You would have assumed, right?
I would really, for me, it's a land of beef and steaks. But that was not the case. Or I was not prepared well.
Interesting.
So.
But it was amazing, right?
It was. I mean,
okay.
Well,
Argentina,
but asado. Asado is the thing. I should have been looking forward to asado more than anything else.
So, Stasha, we've covered a huge amount of topics. Childhood, why 21 grams, Balkan food, Dubai, where you've worked, openings, Burj Khalifa, Hakkasan, how 21 grams was born, finding 3 different chefs before you opened, 5 years into nearly 6 years now into the business, Michelin, the future of 21 grams, the challenges, the advice, all of this. It has been
tip of the iceberg, you know that, right?
And it's an amazing and a captive conversation that we've had, and the audience will learn a huge amount. So I would really like to say thank you so very much for your time coming on the show and giving us your advice, expertise. It's been absolutely phenomenal. From a social media angle, if people want to get hold of you, how can they do that?
So they can find me at Soul Kitchen Dubai on Instagram, or even better, 21grams.dubai. I still run the social media of 21 grams. So either or.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And really, it's been absolutely fantastic.
No, thank you, James. I usually do not like talking in front of Mike. I don't know. But I really enjoyed my time with you. And thank you so much for inviting me, having me, and making the entire experience less painful.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you.